Hello, this is Eric Sfiligoj, editor of CropLife magazine, here again at 2025 Tech Hub Live with another Fireside chat. I am now joined by Daren Coppock, the president CEO of the Agricultural Retailers Association. Daren, welcome.
Thanks, Eric. Glad to be here.
Yeah, so we wanted to talk in our time together a little bit about the Beltway. I know that's one of your favorite topics. So I want to talk about what's working and what's not, what's stuck. So positive first. What is absolutely working right now in today's DC?
There are surprisingly a few things. You don't always hear about them in the press, but there are some things that we're working on kind of around the edges and maybe even under the radar that are positive moves forward. PHMSA, the Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Agency, is proposing 17 new rulemaking actions that will streamline. So rather than adding to the regulatory burden, this is going to make it simpler and easier to comply.
Are they combining things, or
they're doing some things like you don't have to carry a paper record of the certification anymore. You can do it electronic.
Little pruning.
Just things that bring us into the 21st century, essentially.
Yeah, okay.
So there's a whole bunch of those. We have a bill that dropped yesterday that we're supporting that Congressman Tracy Mann has offered to simplify the seasonal ag CDL exemption and to make sure that the truck weights or the weights of implements of husbandry don't apply toward weight limits on the highway. Now, in your brain, you don't think a rod weeder or a sprayer or whatever isn't going to apply to a weight limit on the highway, but there are some states who, the way they've defined it, could have included that. So little tinkers like that we're working on. A number of things. The ag groups come together on a lot of these issues too. There was a attempt by USTR to impose a shipbuilding tariff on any ship that called in our ports that was built in China, operated by a Chinese company, or owned by a Chinese company. Exorbitant tariffs that would have absolutely, totally interrupted our ag export and our import supply chain. And so the ag groups got together and talked with USTR and were able to tone that down. We're still working on it.
Okay.
But I think it's to the point now where it at least won't cause huge harm like the first draft would have.
Okay. So in some cases, they will listen.
They will.
So then what's stuck? What is just not happening in Washington, D.C. in today's political environment that, you know, in the past might have been a lot easier, and now it's just, we're not going anywhere. And how is ARA and other trade associations that you operate and work with, how are you trying to address some of these issues?
Mm-hmm. So we fundamentally, what we try to do is find out who your allies would be on a particular issue on both sides of the aisle, or in the regulated community or other nonprofit associations that are there representing their interests. Anytime we can stitch together a coalition of like-minded people, that increases our chances of getting the job done. I've been in Washington since just before 9/11 in 2001. And in that time, I've seen the poles of both parties pull further apart in terms of the spectrum of political thought. And the trenches in the trench warfare are getting deeper.
Yes.
And so anybody who tries to reach across that line and create a bipartisan solution, which is where we prefer to operate, anybody who takes that risk runs the risk of being primaried in the next election by the extremists on either side. So it's difficult to get those coalitions together. And as a result, you're seeing things like the big blow up over the rescissions package that just passed, where Democrats are saying that, you know, you broke your word, you promised that you were going to do this, and Republicans in turn say all we cut was 0.1% of the federal budget. But it's kind of poisoned the well for working together on bipartisan things that they need to do, like appropriations bills. We have a new federal fiscal year starting October 1. Not one appropriations bill to fund the agencies has been passed by either chamber at this point.
Yeah, I think we had a speaker earlier that talked about it by June 30th. They were supposed to be here, and they actually are like here and you know, the perspective, not close is basically what I'm saying.
Right, and we haven't passed a budget for years. That's supposed to be done by April in the year. That's not been done. And so it's a lot of examples of how not to run a business, but it's going to complicate things, because if you get to September 30th and there's not an appropriations authorization for those agencies, they shut down. And that's really disruptive. I don't think anybody wants to wear that albatross around their neck for being the one that caused that situation. But the situation we're looking at now, I mean, you can't get 13 appropriations bills passed by both houses and signed by the president between now and September. I don't think there's
That's a
enough time
tall
to do
order.
that.
Yeah.
So then you're looking at either a shutdown in the extreme scenario or an omnibus bill where they stitch them all together, what some have started to term a cromnibus because you're cramming it all together.
Omnibus. I haven't heard that term before, but I do like it.
So they're looking at that kind of a scenario to keep at least some of the agencies open. And we certainly hope that they're able to come up with a solution, but it's pretty long odds at this point.
Well, let me ask you one question, because again, it hasn't come up thus far, but I know I've been it's been coming up a lot with folks I talk about. Farm bill. And again, I'll harken back to something that was said yesterday by one of our award winners at our awards presentation. She was talking about her grandfather, who was 101 years old and had gone between, working with a horse and a plow to now having auto steer in their equipment. And the quote he gave her was something like, I always thought we would get here, but I wasn't sure I would live long enough to see it. I'm beginning to think I should apply that to seeing a new farm bill passed, because I don't think we've had one for like 6 or 7 years, and the prospects don't look really good. So what's the update on that from where you sit?
So the farm bill usually has been a package where everything passes together. The farm programs, the nutrition program, the research, all of those things are put together in a package that draws support from all quarters, because otherwise, what's going to incent a congressperson from Brooklyn, New York to vote in favor of a farm program? Unless there's a nutrition package in there for their people.
Yeah, I know that was always the common thinking. Yeah,
that's the way it's been for a long time. This time, some of those provisions were pulled out and put into the reconciliation bill that passed, including higher reference prices for farm commodities, including an extension of some tax treatment that we were supportive of for Section 199As, for example, and some bonus depreciation and expensing provisions. So there were a lot of things in that bill that we liked and advocated for. There's some other things in that bill that while ARA doesn't have specific policy on those issues, I think we'll have some impacts on rural America that we're going to have to pay attention to and deal with.
Yeah, we all have skin in the game, right?
But in terms of passing what they're calling a mini farm bill that has the other provisions that didn't pass, I think that's probably something where it's unlikely to pass on its own. If they can come up with a package that enough people support and can insert it in one of the other must-pass bills, that's probably the path that it would have to take.
And I'll say, what at this point, for our listeners here, our audience, the timeline for when is the drop-dead date for a new farm bill to take place this year?
Well, now that they've extended the commodity programs and the conservation programs, I think that's probably less of a concern.
Okay.
Officially, it would have run out September 30th. But because of the timing of the way some of the programs are run, you wouldn't actually see them start to shut down until December.
Okay.
But the ones that we were concerned about most were included in the so-called One Big Beautiful Bill.
Okay.
And so I think that's less of a concern from our standpoint.
Okay. I'm glad you gave me the segue. Speaking of December, again, I know the Agricultural Retailers Association holds its annual meeting in December. So if you could give our audience a little bit of a preview of what they're going to see and hear at the 2025 edition of that event.
So we always try to arrange the schedule on issues that are top of mind for retailers. And we find those out through a post-conference survey at the last event, continual conversations with them, our conference planning committee. And so we have a former Green Beret coming in to talk about leading through turbulent times.
Oh my!
If there were ever turbulent times, this is probably a pretty good approach.
Yeah.
There's that. We have former USDA Chief Economist Joe Glauber coming in to tell us, we've heard about all the tariff policies and the economic policies of the administration. What's been the net impact after a year? What's it doing? Is it positive? Is it negative? And Joe is fabulous about being able to dissect those things and tear them apart. There will be sessions on weather, sessions on fertilizer outlook, sessions on artificial intelligence. Our new labor link service that's available to members will also be featured. Yeah. So a lot of things on the agenda. And we're in Salt Lake City this year, which means we're not playing outdoor golf. We're doing golf at Topgolf instead with heaters.
You know, I've been at events that have done the Top Golf versus a tournament. It's a little more all-inclusive because not everybody likes to go out and as Twain said, ruin a stroll playing real golf. But Top Golf is a lot of fun. So, folks, if anybody wants to find out more information about attending your event, where do they go?
The main website is aradc.org. And if you want to go straight to the conference site, you just add a /conference on the end of that. It'll take you right there.
Great. Well, Daren Coppock, thank you so much for joining us for this Fireside Chat at Tech Hub Live. And stay tuned, folks. We'll be back with another one very soon.